Welcome, Wrestle Buddies, to the Wrestle Buddy podcast. I'm your host, Andy, joined by my co-host, the Drip King himself, Jimmy Baby. How we doing, Jim?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How about you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. It's been some good stuff going on, hasn't it, this week in wrestling?
Yeah, man. It's been a little slow the past few weeks, but this week kind of kicked it up a notch.
That's it, isn't it? It just seems to be picking up a bit of steam, which is cool.
Right in time for WrestleMania season.
But right, so we'll start off right away by probably the biggest news, mate. I think it's really good to talk about is Mickie James being in the Royal Rumble. Really good news. Do you think it's a one-off, or do you think it's something that we're gonna start seeing more of?
What I love most about this is I feel like the possibilities are endless. It could be one-off. It could be the start of something. It could be to mend fences. It could be to bring her in for a Hall of Fame induction. There's just so many options here. And not having any kind of idea, I like it. I like not being in the loop of things.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact as well is that they acknowledged her as the Knockouts champion as well. I thought that was brilliant. That.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, go on.
I think I brought this up before, and I think it's kind of interesting that this is happening. They've never worked with Impact or TNA before, correct? This isn't something they've ever done. Well,
they've done something. They haven't worked together before, but they did do something for Ric Flair to go in the Hall of Fame, if you remember correctly.
Okay. So
and they gave Christian as a trade, didn't they? I believe at the time.
Yeah, I think this it's interesting because if you remember last year when the Brian Danielson, before he went to AEW, there was the rumor that WWE was trying to make a deal in New Japan, and then Tony Khan went on. He cut a little promo or whatever you want to call it about that's not possible because I'm working with them and all this other stuff. But then once Brian Danielson showed up in AEW, he confirmed that they were in fact trying to work with New Japan to get him into to a few things.
Yeah.
So to see them now working with Impact, it kind of makes it seem like it's almost like I don't want to say a shot, but to go back at Tony for maybe saying those things and be like, hey, we can do this thing too.
Yeah.
And maybe we can even do it better than you. Possibly. Yeah. It just really depends on where they go with it, though. I mean, is it, like you said, a one-off, or is this something we're going to see extend? I'm just really interested in where they go with it.
All right, so just to give things, Chris LaBelle, hi Chris, how you doing? And Ashton, we won. So my team actually won the match. So it's probably a one-off deal, but a partnership between both brands would be super cool. It really would, Chris, but one thing that I do want to say as well is, and it's something, I've been sitting here mulling this over, Jim, all afternoon, about is it going to be a one-off, or are we going to see this all the time? And one thing that I wanted that kind of made me think is, with WWE releasing a lot of talent, the likes of the Royal Rumbles and stuff like that, now, if they've got some kind of deal with Impact, maybe get some of the NXT stars over there for them to get something a bit different from WWE, or stars WWE aren't using at the moment, kind of get them over to Impact as well. And then Impact maybe bringing it, because we're not going to see the likes of Roman Reigns and stuff on Impact, but there could be a beneficial here, because with what I'm trying to say is, with WWE releasing a lot of talent and they haven't got that big swelled roster that they used to have to, having a mutual relationship with somebody like Impact, where they could bring a few Impact stars in, give a few to them, keep things fresh, but they're not having to contract people. They still keep them within their budget of what they want.
Kind of like what they did with Smoky Mountain and ECW in the late, like right before the Attitude Era boom. They had those working relationships where they were bringing in those guys to put on the show. So it makes sense. And I think I just keep thinking that Vince is a guy who really he relishes competition. Like he embraces it. Like he's not the kind of guy that's gonna shy away from it. And I feel like AEW's gotten to the point where he has to acknowledge them as kind of competition. And they've been sitting back and taking shots and kind of just almost like waiting for an opportunity.
Yeah.
And this kind of just to me, it just feels like them getting sick and tired of doing nothing and kind of making a move to let it be known, like, hey, we're still the big dogs here. Let us show you what we can do.
Yeah.
Because would you agree that the Impact AEW relationship was a complete failure for Impact?
Yeah, 100%. I thought it was.
What do you think that would do for Vince to step in and say, well, let me show you how it's done? His ego, and Nick Khan has an ego as well, to step in and do something that AEW tried and couldn't accomplish.
Oh,
it would just make him just be like, yes. So that's why I with this.
I feel also as well is from a PR perspective and stuff like that. If Vince goes in and he does this deal with Impact and he polishes people in NXT, he uses Impact used them. They've got a mutual relationship from a PR point of view as well, as like, because it's no secret that everybody, if you went out and canvassed 100 people, I'd probably suggest at least 85% of them would say that the deal between Impact and AEW was only beneficial one way.
Yeah.
Where, and so obviously in the terms of the IWC, it's well known, where if someone like, if Vince comes in and does really well with them and treats them well and everything else that goes on with it, from a PR perspective, it's really good for the company as well, isn't it? To say, okay, well, we don't work with everybody, but when we do work with people, we look after them well.
And look what it does for the company we work with. It bolsters them. Like I think Impact is still trending like right now, based off of the thing that happened almost 24 hours ago. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think if it was just a one and shot, and especially with maybe putting it in the Hall of Fame or something like that, I don't believe they would have mentioned the Impact title on television.
Not at all. Not at all.
No. I mean, it'd be nice to see, because how many people did they announce? They haven't released all 30 names for the Royal Rumble so far.
I think I counted 19 on the graphic. I don't remember seeing any NXT girls on there, but there'll be a few of those.
Yeah, and then maybe, a Diona Purrazzo would be really cool.
Man, can you imagine? That would be absolutely insane.
Yeah. And obviously with them acknowledging the TNA side of it, Mickey's obviously going to come out to a TNA music and all the rest of it, you know what I mean? So it'd be nice as well. And with the men's, there's still room to put, I don't believe Moose or anyone like that will end up there, but, there's a couple of other opportunities there, isn't there?
I'm gonna do something I haven't done in a while, and I'm gonna not try and speculate too much on what will happen, just because, like I said, this was such a shock for it to happen. Like, because I didn't get to watch SmackDown live last night. I turn on Twitter and I see the announcement of Mickie James, and my mind's blown. I'm like, what is happening here? So I'm gonna take a step back and just kind of like watch it unravel, appreciate what we're given, because if it turns out to be something big, then that's awesome for all of professional wrestling. It's going to make Impact better. It's going to make WWE better. And the PR thing, I didn't even think about that. It gives WWE a good image for the time being that, like, hey, yeah, we work well with others. We can do it when we feel like it's needed. So I would love to see some of the guys from Impact come over just to get that moment to... Because I feel like too many people don't know who Moose is. They don't know who Josh Alexander is. They don't see these guys. And I feel like getting eyes on them would be great for Impact, for those guys as well. And I'm hoping that happens.
So, Ashton's just made a good point there. Maybe stars like Ricochet, Kevin Owens, Dominic Mysterio, superstars like that make an appearance on Impact. It potentially could.
I'll give you a good one. I would love to see AJ Styles go over to Impact and have a one-on-one with Alexander.
Oh, that'd be awesome. But you
I
never
don't know.
know. It could. Do you know what would be nice? They've got their pay-per-view tonight, haven't they? You know, how boss would it be if, you know, obviously they in the background WWE have gone, okay, we're going to announce Mickie James for the Royal Rumble, and then, you know, I don't know, Nakamura or somebody's going to turn up at the pay-per-view tonight, you know what I mean? And
How many more people do you think are getting that pay per view because of last night now?
oh,
Like,
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be trying to watch
Yeah.
it tonight.
And to be fair, if there is some kind of deal that's gone on there as well, if I was WWE, I'd be thinking to myself, okay, so we've announced Mickie James. Now, if we place somebody on that pay-per-view, all these Impact fans are going to tune into Monday Night Raw thinking, who else from Impact's going to show up over here?
Absolutely.
And you start creating that kind of buzz then, you know?
Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, the only shame is really for Impact is they do tape their weekly shows, don't they? So it'd probably take them a little while to get somebody into the mix on the weekly basis. Do you know what I mean?
feel like they could do segments and put them into the if it's taped, they could have backstage segments they could record and just insert in to kind of make it happen quicker. But yeah, that would definitely get eyes on it. And I think the timing of it is just really peculiar, seeing as how you have an Impact pay-per-view tonight going head-to-head with AEW's Battle for the Belts.
Yeah,
that's something you can't ignore.
No,
Yeah, this is very interesting. It's got me excited, like truly excited about wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're behind in the UK, so I woke up this morning and the first thing I seen was that, and like I was half asleep and I just went and my eyes opened up and I was just like, wow, do you know what I mean? It really hit me hard, do you know?
Yeah, I was like, man, I gotta turn on Smackdown right now.
Yeah, I mean, I had to sit there and kind of say to myself in the end, look, just take a break on it, and you know, because one, it is exciting, and number two is the possibilities that, you know, obviously, you know, being you're a big wrestling fans team, but we're also people that like to try and understand the creative ways and what they do with things and stuff like that. So as soon as I seen that, my mind just started rolling with all the ideas and everything else that could possibly happen with this.
Absolutely. I'm trying not to do that, but you can't help but have your mind go where like, oh, this, that. But I'm doing I'm putting an extra effort to kind of just like try and just enjoy what might be and not get myself too hyped for something that might not be. But at the end of the day, like I said, the excitement is there, and that's always the goal. You want fans to be excited about what's happening.
Yeah. And the thing is, for someone like WWE to potentially do this kind of partnership, they're finally starting to listen to the fans, and, you know, if they see, you know, we can't ignore that Tony Khan and AEW were the first to do it, but they done it out of maybe more of a necessity than no want, to try and kind of make it sound like, well, okay, we've got Impact now and New Japan and whatever else, but, you know, WWE don't really need to do this, but the fact that they are is very, very interesting, and it kind of shows where they're at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okie doke. So one thing that I do want to just very quickly, I got this picture here. I'm just going to read it out because I thought it was, and this is Impact Wrestling's Twitter account themselves. So in the last 12 months, Impact has worked with AEW, NWA, New Japan, AAA, WWE, and tomorrow a Hard to Kill, the Ring of Honor World Title will be defended in an Impact ring. So they've been busy, haven't they? You know?
Absolutely.
And the thing is apart from the Ring of Honor thing, I don't know how much benefit they've got out of most of these kind of partnerships, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like there was an interesting I saw where Mickie had liked a tweet that was referencing basically let me see if I can pull it up real quick. It was kind of referencing the fact that during the Forbidden Door thing with AEW, nothing with the women's was accomplished. It was kind of like it was overlooked, and people were trying to call her a hypocrite for it or whatever because of the fact that Tony Khan, I guess, paid for his women to be part of that pay-per-view and all that. But when you look at like the big picture, I couldn't think of one thing that the women from either brand really benefited other than Thunder Rosa and that was more of him just trying to lure him to his company because of how big of a deal she is.
Yeah.
But it was like she liked the tweet that said, "Isn't it odd that the Forbidden Door in AEW never involved women?" And I really started thinking about it. It's like it really didn't. No. You had a matchup between Deonna Purrazzo and Britt Baker that they never really even explored, and it's like that's a money match that really could have helped bring eyes to Impact. It would have put the eyes on like one of their biggest stars, and they just never did it. And then here you have, like, before anybody's even crossed through the Forbidden Door, you already have the women's division getting recognition because of Mickie James. So it's
one of them though, isn't it? You know, I just feel like it's got a lot. I just hope it's not this just one person. Do you know what I mean? Rather than anything else, I really think I hope that there's something more to this, and we start seeing a bit more of it. You know, but as I say, if you look at it logically, WWE have got everything to gain from this as well by bringing in some stars that they don't have to pay, or if they do have to pay them, they only have to pay them for one shots rather than have them on contracts and them all get stuck there. You know what I mean?
I think they can get away with not paying them because it's just the promotion that Impact is going to get from having their name and their stars on WWE's show is more than enough. Impact is going to be more than willing to be like, yeah, you can use our people. We're paying them. Use them. Make sure you're mentioning, you know, Moose, our Impact World Champion, Mickie, our Impact, like, get our name out there so that people see these faces and they're like, I want to see more of this person and put eyes on their show.
Yeah. And as I say, you know, there's also, you've got people like Ricochet and you know, people like that who are not being used as much on WWE TV that could potentially be used on the other side of it as well.
Absolutely. Someone like Ricochet could benefit greatly from this while he's still in WWE to just be able to go over to Impact and have some matches with people. It would be, absolutely.
That's it. Okay, well, we'll move on. Sorry, Ashton's just said, I would like to see Laredo Kid versus Dominic Mysterio. I think that would be a good high flyers match. I'd like to see, to be honest, Ash, I'd probably rather see Ricochet in that match. I think that'd be a bit of a better match, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see what we get out of it. But anyway, you know, obviously some really good news, some sad news this week. We got some releases. You know, me and Matty done a bit of we've done a bit of a live reaction to it the other day. What was your thoughts on these releases, especially William Regal?
I mean, I hate to say I saw it coming, but the writing was on the wall when they went to the rebrand. They removed Regal from TV completely. They stopped mentioning him. Like, he's been with them for a long time. He's been the heart and soul of the black and gold era of NXT, and they're just completely moving away from it. A completely, like, 180 degree. It's completely different. Yeah. So you could see them wanting to move all those faces that are associated with it away from it to kind of give it that new feel on the camera and behind the camera. It sucks because of how highly touted William Regal is. He's a brilliant mind. He can clearly still help, but they just felt like he wasn't going to help them in the direction they want to go. But he doesn't seem to be sour about it. He had nothing, class response by him on his Twitter.
Massively.
So, yeah. But he's done his time. I'm sure he'll enjoy the time off, be able to go and be more hands-on with his son in the UK. Yeah. Maybe that'll help him. As far as the other guys, Road Dogg.
Sorry, just we'll go back with William Regal for a minute. He did release a statement on Twitter, which I just thought was so classy. So thank you at WWE for 21 wonderful years. You gave a lad who was happy in Wonderland, wrestling and carnivals, to have a charmed life for 21 years. No complaints and please, no one waste time replying, as I won't have a bad word said against the company. I will add that at WWE saved my life in 1999 when they didn't need to, kept my family fed and took me all around the world. You have my gratitude forever. You allowed me to live a charmed life. This is really class, isn't it? Really class.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I'm sure he's good. Like, he's not worried about like I'm sure he's got enough money set aside, and he's got plenty of things he can venture into, to where the job isn't important to him. It just sucks to not have that mind associated with this talent. They could have used his mind for sure, 100%.
Oh, 100%. The only thing that gets me is you had him and Joe and potentially Road Dogg, as far as I know, who were talent scouts. Now,
you saw they've already hired Petey Williams to come in as one of the new trainers. Probably taking someone like Road Dogg's. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how these rules are work and all that. But the Samoa Joe one is the one that blows my mind more than Regal, because
do you know what? It doesn't to me.
It seemed like Samoa Joe was brought back and was learning the ropes to take over for Regal. And that's why when I saw Regal get released, it was kind of like, okay, they're going all in on Joe. And then when that day was over and Joe didn't get released, it really kind of reassured it to me, like, okay, Samoa Joe is that guy. So then the next day, it was like at the very end of the day over here in the U.S., he gets released, and it's like, okay, what? That didn't make sense to me. And he didn't seem to be as thrilled to be released by his. Yeah. So that one took me by more surprise.
When I think of... Sorry, go on.
I feel like he's more in tune with today's version of what wrestling is than Regal was, and that's not a knock. It's just he's more recently been in the ring. Like, he's worked with these younger guys. So it's just kind of weird that Samoa Joe, to me, just got released like that. I can only assume that maybe he had pushback on certain things, and they're just...
So... Chris LaBelle says William Regal was a shock release to me. He will be missed. I believe he could be either one day be the GM for AEW or possibly a backstage role in AEW. And Joe being released wasn't a shock to me because they did it once already. Yeah, maybe Impact could be calling. I think Impact could be a good place for Joe to land. I believe William Regal, I don't know whether he will go to AEW. I believe that he might just hit the Comic-Con circuit and whatnot now, you know what I mean, and maybe potentially do some podcasts or what have you. But, you know, anybody would be lucky to have his mind. Road Dogg, I don't know whether you've already noticed, has announced some signings with Badass Billy Gunn now. They've already started with the old thing already, so potentially we could see him in Impact. In AEW, I believe, with Road Dogg. Yeah. We might get that last little run out of the New Age Outlaws or whatever they'll call themselves.
New Age Outlaws versus the Hardy Boys, 2022. Two things about the Joe thing, though, is one, the last time it was released, it was because he was talent. They released him because he wanted to wrestle and they weren't going to allow him. So when they brought him back, it was Triple H that made the call to be like, hey, no, I want him back. So it definitely seemed like Joe was coming back and he knew what his role was going to be. The performance thing with Cross, that was like a one-time thing, a transition for the title. That's what I always thought it was, and that's clearly what it was. They didn't do it the way I thought it would, but I always knew it was a transitional thing, and he was going to backstage. But for the Impact, I don't see him looking at Impact if there is a partnership with WWE. Because again, what he tweeted, it wasn't anything like bad, but it definitely seemed like he hinted towards kind of being disgruntled about the whole situation. And then you have to look at other talent that may be signing with Impact here in the next month. I think there's a few of them that have about 25 days left before they can do it. Yeah. If there's a working relationship with WWE and these guys have ill thoughts, I don't see them wanting to go to Impact to possibly end up having to work with WWE again. That's something I think is another interesting take to pay attention to.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so just about talking about WWE to AEW stars, Jeff Hardy. There's been rumours that he's going to go over to AEW, which is, the likely move for him. What do you think on that move?
It'll be better than Matt. I don't want to see it. I think it's just going to take away time from the tag teams. When AEW started, I feel like their roster, the best part of their roster was their tag team division. I saw all those tag teams, and I liked what they had there. They never really utilized half of them.
No.
And right now, it seemed like with the end of Dynamite, you had Jurassic Express holding the titles up high, and you had tag teams come out to basically say, this is the line of challengers that are waiting for you. Which one of those teams is going to get pushed to the side when Jeff comes in, realigns himself with Matt, and you have Hardy Boys 2022? Like, we've seen this nostalgia run how many times now?
Yeah.
I don't want to see it again.
No. And do you know one thing I will say as well is I seen Jeff Hardy at a house show in Liverpool at the beginning of December, and I said to my friend, no, he looked more than what he looked 2 steps off the pace, not one, 2 steps off the pace. You know, even one thing I've noticed with him is the fact that he doesn't go flat back for the twist of fate anymore. It was almost like a twist into a stunner.
Yeah, kind of like how Matt started doing, because Matt, and it's to be expected with these guys. They killed their bodies earlier in their career, and I don't want to sound disrespectful at all to them, because they were a big part of me becoming the wrestling fan I am. But enough, at a certain point, enough's enough. You got to know when to just walk away before you become someone like Ric Flair, who like basically feels like he needs the wrestling business, as opposed to someone like Stone Cold or HBK, where they were able to walk away and just were able to appreciate what they did, not appreciate what they might be able to still do. How many of us were tired of seeing Undertaker every year? Like, it's like, come on, man, you were done. Don't come back. Yeah, and I feel like that's where the Hardys are at this point.
Yeah, it gets to a point, doesn't it, where even though, like, you're a massive fan, you start thinking to yourself, you're taking up a spot from somebody who deserves it. You know, if everybody wouldn't have left at the time, then where would you be? You know what I mean? You wouldn't have got your shot. So I totally get that. Chris LaBelle says a Killer Cross to AEW would be nice. I don't think it would be, mate. I wouldn't like to see him in AEW. I want to see him in Impact, Killer Cross.
It won't happen.
No.
Scarlett already said they have no intentions of going back to Impact. So,
well, be interesting to see where them two land. And just before we wrap it up, Jim, I know we're pressed for time today. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. What's your thoughts?
I love it. They're going all out for the Royal Rumble, man. I love it. And I was so pissed off at the end of day one when Brock won the title. And it took me till Monday afternoon to kind of like really come down from how mad I was of just how shitty it was. But now I'm looking at everything, and the Impact stuff aside, the possibilities that they could go with the titles and feuds going into WrestleMania season, I think has now become endless with what they're doing. Because I feel like Brock and Roman is happening at WrestleMania, but are either one of them going to have a title when that comes around? We don't, like, it's a very real possibility that neither of them have a title at that point. And then if that's the case, is Seth the champion on SmackDown, and then he's on SmackDown, then you open the door for someone like, who we've all been clamoring for, Sami Zayn, to step up, and that's a much more believable opponent for for Sami, is Seth Rollins. And then on the Raw side, you have the Lashley, Kevin Owens, a Big E. I think the possibilities just kind of opened up a little bit. Whereas before day one, we're zoned in on it's going to be Brock and Roman at WrestleMania. Yeah.
Do you believe that's going to be for the 2 titles in an undisputed match, or
no? I'm of the belief now. I've changed my mind completely, because that's what this whole scenario has done. Is I don't think there's a title at stake anymore. I think they're going in as a blood feud at this point. I can very easily see Roman costing Brock the title at Royal Rumble, and then Brock turning around and doing the exact same thing to him, in which neither one of them have the title, and now they are just fuming at each other.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the things that I can think of going toward, moving forward. We'll still get Brock and Roman, but I feel like the parts that are right beneath them, I think, have just kind of expanded.
Yeah. I think as well is, I do believe that we're going to get Roman versus Rock at WrestleMania Hollywood, and I believe that that'll start at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I don't believe that feud needs a belt. So we could get a whole year without Roman getting a title, because it could be that they just build and build and build, and Roman doesn't need the title at this point, and yada yada, in the whole build, the build up with The Rock. So it could be interesting to see if they go down that route, isn't it? But if they do that, then it means that there's more stars to be made with a title, which, to be fair, do I feel like Roman needs the belt now? No, I don't. I feel like he's at that point now. Yeah. I think he wasn't at the point for a while, and I think for a while he really did need the belt, where now I don't believe that. I feel like he's at that point now where he's that established, he doesn't need it.
Yeah, he's kind of at a Brock level where he's an attraction. The belt is just added onto it. He does not need the belt to bring a presence to the show, to bring eyes to the show. No. And another thing with, if Seth was to beat Roman, a tidbit, I don't know if this is factual, but I saw that Roman's never beat Seth. So that's a thing to kind of keep your eye on. But if Seth is champion, does the SmackDown main event kind of open up a bit more? Because no credible challengers for Roman because of how much Roman has been built up and how he's just this beast of a man. But with Seth, like I said, Sami Zayn is a credible opponent for him. Shinsuke is a credible opponent for him. Sheamus. I know people don't like him, but Baron Corbin.
Cesaro.
Yeah, there's people that now it's like, okay, I can see challengers for Seth Rollins, and the main event now, it's not fixed completely, but at least there's a Band-Aid put on it. And I feel like that really helps SmackDown moving forward.
Yeah. So Chris says Seth as a face possibly is a good move in my opinion. Having beat Roman with a Brock distraction, vice versa. Roman, Brock non-title maybe. Yeah, you're spot on there, Chris. I think, I do think that that's the way that they're going to go. And also believe that, one thing that you're quite right in saying is they've built up Roman so much, Jim, on SmackDown, but also name a credible babyface on SmackDown at the moment.
Yeah, there isn't.
No, and if you're going to build Seth up to be that credible babyface, then, there's a gap there for him, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing I love about it is Seth does not have to change his character at all.
No.
All he has to do is just tweak his in-ring work, and the babyface works with that character, which nobody wants to see go away because it's his best character work he's done.
Yeah.
And we all love even
the whole dancing and laughing and stuff.
It works.
It works, and it'll work, as you say, vice versa. It's just, as you said, with the in-ring work, but also just a few different words on the microphone. The presentation's still the same, but the words that come out of his mouth different. It's like Brock Lesnar, to be fair. Brock Lesnar, I think, does well as a babyface as well, but I also think he does well. He does well as a heel. But if you look at Brock, there's not much difference between them, apart from a bit of a smile and the acknowledgement of the crowd.
I think the thing with Brock is he talks now, whereas before he didn't really talk. No. So, and then like you said, he's smiling, he's winking, he's doing just little things. Yeah. And with Seth, like I said, I literally feel like all he has to do is just start wrestling like he did prior to winning the title against Brock, when the fans were just gushing over the man. And it works. He doesn't have to change the character at all. No. And I feel like it's happening organically. Like, the fans are wanting to cheer for this man. And
so, I think you guys are spot on. Even the fans love Seth freaking Rollins. Yeah. And Monday Night Version. He's just the same. Yeah.
And I think WWE.com even changed his name to Seth freaking Rollins on the website, which was the babyface run. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, Jim, but we'll wrap it up there, mate. Obviously, I know we've got to thanks so much for jumping on with us. I know you've got somewhere to be, so we'll wrap this up. Guys, thank you everyone for watching here. We really appreciate it. Now, just to let you all know as well, and make sure you all, set a reminder, you can click the bell on this. We're going to be going live at 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern, is it?
Today?
I believe. Sorry, on Monday.
Oh.
So 5 p.m. UK, and I believe it's 12.
12 Eastern US.
Yeah, 12 Eastern US. I'm going to be going live on the channel. I've got a very, very special guest that's going to be joining me on the channel. don't bother asking because I'm not going to tell you. But it's somebody that you really don't want to miss. So make sure you join me. Hit the notification bell. We will hit the notification on the YouTube channel. If you watch us on Facebook, make sure that you look out there and follow ready for when we go live. And as I say, I'm going to be joined by a very special guest. We potentially will let you know who that guest is tomorrow. But
I'm jealous.
It's not one that you're going to want to miss. And you know what? I'm going to tell you a very quick story before we finish here. So today, I had to phone this guest, and Alex, our WrestleBuddy head honcho, sent me his telephone number, and I phoned the number that I was given. He didn't answer, and I was sitting in my father's house, and I was in my dad's bed. My dad was in the living room, and I went into his bedroom because it was quieter. And after I phoned and the phone didn't answer, the phone rang again, and as I went to answer, my dad had picked up in the living room in his house, and he turns around and goes, "Andy, it's such and such a..." No, obviously he said the name on the phone. I went, "Dad, that's Tingy," and he turned around and went, "Oh, yeah, I just get him for you now. Sorry about this," because my dad obviously was a wrestling fan back when this person was performing, do you know what I mean? One crew, we'll give you guys, he is a Hall of Famer. So, make sure you tune in, as I say, 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time.
It might be 11 Eastern, I'm sorry. I think there's a 6-hour difference. I'm sorry.
It's, I think it's 5 p.m. It's 5, Eastern's New York time, isn't it?
Yes, and it's 6 hours behind the UK time.
5.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. I'm talking about mine. I'm Central. My bad.
Yeah. There you go then. So it's 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m.
Central.
Central, and 5 p.m. UK. There we go, we're sorted. So make sure you do join us, guys. As I say, look out on the WrestleBuddy Facebook page and Twitter and YouTube channel to find out who our guests be. But we will be answering questions with the guests live in the chat, so we will see you then. But until next time, guys, Jimmy, spot on, brother. Take care. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for the support. Wrestle Revolution Keaton, thanks very much for watching. Chris LaBelle, Ashton, and everybody else who's watching us now. So we appreciate you. Take care, and we'll speak to you again shortly.